Yeah, I've got a couple of words going around my head that I think might be right from something Sid Banks talked about. Was it infinite possibilities? I've said that to children in my work in schools sometimes, and then I just see their imagination going, you know.
Yeah, totally. Opens everything up, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. I think it's one of my favourite bits of advice to myself when I remember.
It's a great, it's a great thing because it's like you just flowered my desert. You just watered my desert, when you said that, because all of a sudden then you're going, yeah, wow, there's infinite possibility. That is mind blowing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. Thank you for that. That's really cool.
Something Caroline said earlier sort of resonated with me when she was saying when you have a list of requirements when you wanted to move to a new property. And I've been in my current property 20 years this year, and I never even heard of the area I live in now before I first came to see this property. I was like, Marston Green, where's that? I've never heard of it. And I sort of fell in love with the place. But that's from having no knowledge of it whatsoever. And I just wanted to live there after then. So
Yeah.
I had all these other areas that I was looking at, but yeah, that I had heard of, but never even heard of where I ended up living in.
It's so useful to remember those things when we're going through other transitions, because it reminds us that actually, I think that I'm going to, choose the car that I want based on these requirements, choose the man or woman that I want based on these requirements, choose the place that I'm going to live based on these requirements, choose the job based on these requirements. And actually, in real life, it doesn't happen that way, that it does end up being the feeling, or you fall in love with an unexpected place that you place, person, car, etc., that you never expected to, and that ends up being, where you're really happy. And if we stick to the list, that's us trying to exert control over something that's uncontrollable and minimizing our potential instead of seeing that there's infinite possibilities. Beautiful reminder, Anne-Marie. Thank you.
I can see how like when I was saying that, it kind of looks like that. Don't get stuck and attached. But I feel like even Mama J, because that's kind of how I kind of live my path. And as Mama J says, she gets stuck and attached, but she understands where those attachments are coming from, the thinking and the feeling. And it's like, for me personally as well, there's no such thing as don't. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't do, or it's like, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, we're all the best teachers for ourselves. So there's no rules or instructions or to-do lists. It's like, it's kind of like you're just out there with a torch and your wisdom,
Yeah.
And whatever happens, your wisdom has got you anyway. So it's just like, your wisdom is like, if you want to think like that, do what you want to do, because I've got you anyway. So it's like, where we play with our little minefield of thinking and stuff, but wisdom has us anyway. So it's like, we can either do that or not, because wisdom has us.
I've been with Papa 10 years. Before we got together, I was determined that I wouldn't get into another long-term relationship. That's not what I wanted, etc., etc. Anyway, I met him, we fell in love, and we're still together. But there was a time, probably about 5 years ago, and he was sat on one end of the sofa watching football on his laptop, and I was sat on the other end of the sofa doing whatever I was doing. And I suddenly thought about when he dies, and I was thinking about what the funeral was going to be like and how his ex-wife's going to be there and this, and I had this whole story about how terrible it's going to be. And I was sitting there and I was even crying. I even had tears. And I thought, that's why I didn't want to fall in love with someone, because what's the point? They're going to die and it's going to be terrible. And I looked at him. I thought, what am I doing? what? And it was a really blinding example of what we do. We create, we make this story, we live into the story, we feel the feelings, you know, oh, wish I hadn't got attached to him because he's gonna die. And yeah, you know, that is possible. and you know, even lightly, but to not have allowed myself the crazy wonderful time that we've had together in 10 years, to have not had the blessing of that in my life, regardless to the pain that may come if that does happen, why would I not want to allow that? And why would I bar that from my life? And equally, my friend whose husband died of cancer met someone new, and she wasn't with him for very long, a few years, again, I think about 10 years, and he died of cancer too. And you know, people were saying it's terrible, the second husband died of cancer and it's terrible. And she said, well, would have rather have had that time with him than not. And so actually I'm blessed for that.